Hey there, and welcome. So, if you've ever run a blast search and then just stared at the results page, feeling like you're trying to decode ancient hieroglyphics, you are definitely in the right place. Today, we're going to put on our detective hats and learn how to interpret those blast results to really uncover the biological stories that are hiding inside all that data. So, let's get right into it. Right, so you did it. You submitted your query sequence, you waited, and now the algorithm has spit back this huge list of potential matches. But now what? What does any of it actually mean? It can feel a bit overwhelming, honestly, kind of like being handed a messy case file full of disconnected clues. Our job today is to learn how to read that file, connect the dots, and, actually solve the puzzle.
So here's our game plan, our roadmap for this investigation. We're going to start by framing the puzzle itself. Then, we'll look at our first set of clues: identity, similarity, and alignment length. After that, we'll pull out the heavy-duty forensic tools, the bit score and the e-value, before finally learning how to put it all together to build a really convincing case for your results.
Okay, so every single blast search is going to give you a list of hits. But here's the thing, not all hits are created equal. Not even close. Some are going to be incredibly significant, maybe pointing to a shared evolutionary history or a common function. But others, they're just statistical noise, basically trash. Our first big challenge is figuring out how to sort that treasure from the trash.
Let's start with the basics, the most intuitive pieces of evidence in our detective kit. When you first look at an alignment, these three things, length, identity, and similarity, are your go-to indicators for just how strong that connection might be. They're your first clues.
All right, first up, alignment length. Think of it this way. If you're comparing two books and you find one or two words that match, it could be a coincidence, right? But what if you find a whole matching paragraph or an entire chapter? Well, that's a much stronger signal. And it's the exact same idea in genetics. A longer, continuous stretch of alignment is way more compelling evidence for a real biological relationship. Next up, we've got identity. And this one is about as straightforward as it gets. It's simply the percentage of positions where your sequence and the database sequence are a perfect one-to-one match. An A lines up with an A, a glycine with a glycine. That's it. It's a really strict black and white measure of sameness.
Okay, now things get a little more interesting, a little more nuanced with similarity. See, for proteins, similarity counts those identical matches, but it also counts something called conservative substitutions. This is just a fancy way of saying one amino acid gets swapped for another one that has really similar chemical properties. Maybe they're the same size or have the same charge. This means the protein's overall function probably hasn't changed much. So similarity is less about being identical and more about being functionally related.
Yeah, this slide really breaks it down perfectly. Identity is basically asking, are these two things exactly the same? It's a really rigid test. But similarity asks a much more sophisticated question. It's asking, do these two things still pretty much work the same way? And that distinction is absolutely crucial when we're trying to figure out a protein's function just from its sequence.
Okay, let's level up our detective game. While identity and similarity are great starting points, they don't really tell the whole story. To truly measure the quality of an alignment, we need a more standardized tool, and that's where the bit score comes in. Think of this as our advanced forensic tool for measuring the strength of the evidence.
So what is the bit score? Well, it's a score that's calculated based on things like the length of the alignment and the types of substitutions. But here's the most important part. It's normalized. And what that means for you is that you can directly compare the bit scores from completely different searches, even if you were using databases of different sizes. It's like a universal yardstick for alignment quality. And the rule here could not be simpler. Higher is better. This chart just shows it plain as day. An alignment with a bit score of 200 is just so much stronger as a piece of evidence than one with a score of 50. So when you're sorting through your results, you always want to be looking for the hits with the highest bit scores. And now we've arrived at it, the single most important metric for judging whether your blast hit is significant, the e-value. If the bit score tells us about the quality of the match, the e-value tells us about the probability that we found this match purely by chance. This is the ultimate verdict. So what exactly is this expect value? It's all about statistics. It tells you how many hits just as good as this one you should expect to find just by random luck given the size of the database you're searching. Its entire purpose is to help us rule out pure coincidence. Seriously, if you remember only one thing from our whole chat today, please make it this. The lower the e-value, the more significant the match. That's it. We are hunting for numbers that are as close to zero as possible because that means the chance of our match being a random fluke is practically zero.
Just look at this number for a second.
1e minus 100. I mean, that's a decimal point followed by 99 zeros and then a 1. An e-value this small is basically screaming at you that the number of times you'd find this by chance is, well, never. This isn't just a clue anymore, it's a signed confession. This match is almost certainly real and biologically important.
And here's a handy little cheat sheet for you. Anything less than 1e to the 50, that's extremely significant. You've got something real. As you start getting closer to 1, you should get a little more skeptical. It might just be interesting. But anything greater than 1, yeah, that's pretty much guaranteed to be insignificant, just statistical noise.
Okay, we've now looked at all of the individual clues. But you know, any good detective will tell you that the final, most important step is to bring all the evidence together to build a coherent and convincing case. No single metric, no matter how good, tells the whole story. So here is a super simple but really effective workflow you can use every single time. 1. Check the e-value first. Is it significant? If yes, move to step 2. Look at the blast score. Is the alignment high quality? If yes, step 3. Evaluate the identity and similarity percentages. How related are they really? And finally, step 4. Consider the alignment length. Does the match cover a big, meaningful chunk of your sequence?
And that right there is the key takeaway. A fantastic e-value over a tiny little stretch of 20 amino acids. That might not be as meaningful as a pretty good e-value that spans your entire protein. You have to weigh all the evidence together. That's the only way you can confidently decide if a match is truly significant. So the next time you're faced with a BLAST result page, please don't see it as a wall of confusing numbers. See it as a case file. You now have the tools to analyze the evidence, to build your case, and then to move on to the most exciting part. Because once you've decoded the numbers, you get to ask the real question.